Jeff, Saturday, well, they got that Jacksonville loss out of their system in a hurry, and that was important. How important do you think it was for them to just get over that bad loss as much as it was to get back in the playoff race? Which one helps them in the long run?
Well, I think beating the Texans helps them in the long run. I mean, I think you go against a team that won 9 straight games, and everybody's talking about has an inside track in the AFC if they keep playing the way they do. And then you couple that with coming off a really poor performance in Jacksonville, two away games, and you come away with the bigger one, in all honesty. So I was very impressed with the way they played. I mean, I knew it was going to be a tough ball game, but I thought the Colts controlled the game. I mean, I think the score isn't really indicative of how well the Colts played, or it felt like they were in control of the game the entire game. So I was impressed by the way the Colts played all the way around.
Jeff, was this the next step for the 2018 Colts? We saw them a couple weeks ago beat Miami at home when they didn't have their best for 60 minutes, and it seemed like the next hurdle was to beat a quality opponent on the road. Did you see that on Sunday?
No, absolutely. I think coming off the loss, when you get goose-egged and everybody's questioning your coach on what should you have done, should you have kicked, should you not, all just kind of all of the questions that come up anytime you lose, right? I mean, winning cures, a ton of ails, and we understand that's how it is in the NFL. But I felt like when they came out, they are playing a very good opponent who had found ways to win. You got a very explosive quarterback in Deshaun Watson. And I thought really defensively they did a good job stopping the run and doing the things that you have to do on the road to be productive. And Andrew Luck to T.Y. Hilton yesterday was just special. I mean, they just, for whatever reason, I did a breakdown last night on SportsCenter. There was nothing overly complicated. It was just players in time, doing the things they're supposed to do, and really executing on just normal calls. And so I was impressed. They just walked down there, and again, it wasn't a superhuman effort. It was a good football team beat another good football team, and that's what builds your confidence. It's the ones where you go, we didn't have to play anything special. We just had to do what we did. That's what the Colts did. That's why I'm impressed. Because when you go down and it's not a fluky type thing, you just end up playing better. Those are the ones you walk home with feeling much better about.
I think the thing that's amazing to me, we're talking to Jeff Saturday here on The Morning After, brought to you by More Restoration, experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. The thing that amazed me is not only does T.Y. have 9 catches for 199 yards, but here's the other list of players who caught a pass from Andrew on a day like that. Pascal, Ebron, Rogers, Hines, Grant, Mack, Swope. He just gets the ball around, and T.Y. happened to make great plays when he did get the football. Andrew is seeing everything, is he not?
Absolutely. We talked about this a lot, really, on this show. And I said this when I first came to Indy during preseason ball, when we watched it. This offense is predicated on you knowing where the ball is going to go when your foot hits the ground. And you should have an idea by the evaluation, the pre-snap evaluation, and then the post-snap. And so I think Andrew has done a really good job of understanding it doesn't have to be a ridiculous throw. There's a lot of throws that have come in this offense on time. And then I tell you the best part about it, what he's doing, is he's climbing in the pocket so much more effectively. He's not bouncing and necessarily pulling the ball down and getting outside of the pocket where you take a lot of shots. He's doing a really good job of maneuvering and being elusive in the pocket, climbing up the one shot to T.Y. Hilton on the left-hand side. He steps up in and makes a good throw against a cover two. And listen, Eli, he did a great job. Hilton did a good job of pressing inside the corner and getting out. All of those things come together, and that's what's impressive to me is that he's beginning to understand the offense, know where the ball has to go. He's not panicking. He's moving. He's using his athleticism to move around in the pocket and still make throws down the field.
Jeff, I want to touch on the day T.Y. Hilton had. You talked about doing a breakdown for SportsCenter. Hilton, 9 catches, 199 yards. This offense was sluggish early on. You had the 4 3-and-outs in the first quarter, and then it seemed like everything changed when Hilton caught that 60-yarder. What did you see from the Colts' best skill player yesterday?
Yeah, he did a great job getting on the safety's toes. You see him in his release. He's coming straight off, and he gets the safety. He stems his route towards the corner. and you see the safety turn his hips and really open to bail to cover, and then he plants his foot and comes back in. And I think when the ball is thrown, I tried to do. I'm not great at math. I didn't think math. Math's not a requirement here, but I'm pretty sure it was about 30 yards from where he planted his foot and came back to his right-hand side where he caught the ball. So 30 yards between where Andrew throws it and he catches it on the other hash, on the far right hash, or just outside of it. And it just shows you, again, there's nothing special about the design. It wasn't one of those where you go, oh, man, this was a great play call. This was a good player beating another one. And that's what you have to have, consistency in those areas where when it's T.Y.'s chance to make a play, he's making it. He and Andrew are on the same page. They understand where the ball has to come out. And that's all timing. And when you see your best guy be able to climb up and get on top of a safety's toes and then stem him and get inside, it gives you a lot of confidence as a quarterback that we can go make these plays. And that's what they did. I mean, they just continued to roll once that thing happened.
Jeff, let me ask you a question about Andrew. We see the amazing plays being made by Patrick Mahomes this year. He might very well be the MVP. Drew Brees is having an MVP caliber season. Phillip Rivers and Aaron Rodgers is always Aaron Rodgers. Does Andrew belong in that group at this point in time?
He's definitely the comeback player of the year. I mean, and there's no question in my mind as far as that goes. I think records play a huge part. Not that they necessarily should. He's in the conversation. But if you're not winning your division and you're just a little over 500 type team, I think that's always a tough place to be. And so I think that his play definitely puts him in the conversation. I think team's record, again, people argue should that work, should that be a part, should it not be a part,
right?
But
not so much MVP. I just wonder, does he belong in that group as elite, the top of the top quarterbacks, I guess is what I'm asking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. The way he's playing this year, there is no doubt. And the thing for me is you're seeing this is what Andrew Luck should look like. When he was taking all those shots. When people are talking about you have to protect your quarterback, these are the things you talk about because you see how special he can be with an offensive line that's playing well with the design of protecting what he has to do, making sure he's not taking unnecessary shots. And even what I just talked about a few minutes ago about the elusiveness in the pocket of being able to step up instead of having to bounce and pull the ball out and take an unnecessary shot. All of those things, he is definitely becoming or getting into the conversation of having an elite career, not just one season, as opposed to Mahomes. This is still early on. Let's make sure you got to continue to earn it. So, in my opinion, I think Luck is definitely earning it over the long haul.
Jeff, I wanted to touch on Frank Reich and just he has this swagger to him, and I don't know if that's the right term, but he just carries his way with a lot of confidence on the sidelines. He talked after the game that he felt like the entire week his team was going to win this game and bouncing back after that shutout loss to the Jags. When you were in Indy and what you know of Frank Reich, how would you describe him as a head coach or just a coach in general when you were here and he was a position coach?
Yeah, I think you described him extremely well. He is very confident, and the team has picked up on that. When we were in the locker room, when we were celebrating Reggie going in the Ring of Honor, we're in the locker room pregame, and I made the mention it felt like home. And what I meant by that was this team expects to win. They're shocked when they don't play well, and I think that's a big step from a culture perspective in that locker room. It's not, oh man, we should play a tight ball game here. We could give this team a chance. It's no. If we play well, we should win this football game. And I think not only has he done that on the offensive side of the ball, he's done that on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, you looked at yesterday going down into Houston, the way they had to play. Everybody on this football team expects to win this game. And like he said, he felt it all week. But that goes throughout the locker room, and you can see it, man. When I'm in there, and you can look in guys' eyes and understand, is it, man, we just hope we play well, or no, we expect to play well. And that confidence he has definitely passed on to this football team, and they are all buying in on what Frank is selling.
Jeff, when we talk about the AFC South now, and recently now, within the last month, the Colts have gone 2-1 against the rest of the division. They laid that egg against Jacksonville. But, I mean, are we looking at a team that is capable of trading blows with anybody and everybody for the next 6-8 years or so, maybe at least just the 3 or 4?
Well, you're definitely hoping so. I mean, there's going to be pieces and parts. The attrition is it's about 33% attrition rate in the NFL.
Yeah.
You're going to give up guys. You're going to have to build some guys. But just speaking of this season, I made mention late last night on a Sports Center about this team. My takeaway from this weekend was this team. People will be scared to play the Colts. The Colts make it to the playoffs. This is a scary football team. This is a defense that has played better, very similar to the Cowboys, and the fact that everybody talks about their offense all the time, but actually their defense has kept them in a lot of football games. And I think that was unexpected. And I think when you get into playoff football, when your defense can hang around and you have big play capability, whether it be Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton or Ebron or you name it, or you can run the ball decently, that gives people concern in the playoffs. And so I would say that people are hoping that the season doesn't end because they know that's a tough draw. The Colts, even going on the road, just showed you yesterday in Houston, it's a tough draw. People aren't going to want to look for that one.
Yeah.
Jeff, we were touching on it earlier, how the sluggish start for this offense, the 4 straight 3-and-outs, and then everything changed with a little bit of tempo and some no huddle. With Andrew Luck in his 7 seasons, that seems to always be the thing that gets this offense clicking, is when you do go a little bit no huddle and ramp up that tempo. Why don't you think teams or offensive play callers stick with that more often throughout the course of a 60-minute game?
Well, I love it. So you're never. I'm never going to tell you to take your foot off the gas, man. So I'm all about it. But in reality, it's because of the complementary football. Is that if you struggle when you're going up tempo, you go 3-and-out, you're really leaving your defense and your special teams a minimal amount of time to recover. And so I love it being used as a change-up. I think you have to be careful in the NFL. You don't have 101 guys. You think about college and how they can continue to go that. Well, you're rolling through 12 receivers. Well, that's not the case in the NFL. And same on the defensive side. You don't have all those extra bodies where you can really kind of up-tempo people all day long. And so I think you have to use it wisely. I think when you're in a rhythm, though, you see it, you feel it, you use it for a few, get your team back on, and then kind of fall back into regular. I think it's tough, especially if you have turnovers or all of a sudden some quick changes and 3-and-outs. It puts a significant burden. So you got to use it again. You got to use it wisely. But I always loved it. As an offensive lineman, that defense is going to be gassed in one drive or maybe 2 drives because you can count them up. I mean, you can see guys, they can't get off the field, so you get them stuck in one look, one personnel group, or kind of 1 or 2 defensive looks they can give you. They can't surprise you. You're kind of dictating to them. But, again, it's all predicated on can your defense stay fresh, special teams stay fresh, so the head coach has got to be good about making sure he keeps it in balance.
Jeff, one final thought on the day that was in the NFL yesterday. We had some amazing finishes from the Amari Cooper tipped catch to end the game. The Dolphins walk-off against the New England Patriots. Looked like the Steelers were going to have an improbable win, and they had a botched field goal when the field just kind of gave way under the kicker. What were your thoughts on Week 14 generally in the NFL?
Man, what an exciting week. I mean, probably one of my favorite weeks of the year, in all honesty, because everything came down to the end. Even some really good 1 o'clock, games, good forward, and then it finished up with a heck of a game, late last night. I tell you, I was really impressed with the Bears. I thought they did a really good job against the Rams last night. I understand that the weather wasn't great and it makes it tough on teams, but I thought the Bears looked pretty good, especially defensively. Not really offensively, but defensively they looked really good. So it was a fun night. I mean, I love the all the laterals that are going on in Miami. How improbable, they called it the miracle in Miami. Those things that they always make me laugh because not everybody in the NFL is going to go and they're going to just, they're going to bash on the Patriots for one play about how they played it wrong and they should have coached it different and coached it better. Meanwhile, there's 5 or 6 plays in that game that really, dictated why that game even had a chance. But it is. It's one of those improbable things that happens. And like you said, the slip by Pittsburgh on the field goal to tie all those different things. It's why we watch, man, why we love the game. You never know. And like I said, any given Sunday, you never know what's going to happen.
Jeff, I did want to sneak in one last one. The officiating here in 2018 around the league is something that I think is frustrating any fan base, no matter who you are rooting for. Yesterday, we saw a questionable play. Malik Hooker looks like his shoulder is into the receiver. He gets whistled for an interception that is overturned. Where are you at with how the game is called, specifically from the defensive side, and what these DBs and linebackers can do on passing plays?
Well, let me say this. I think we have made it next to impossible for our officials by what we're asking them to look at, decide, and make a call on. I mean, I think we have, and then on the ones that are questionable, you know, can they be reviewed? Can they not be? Is a review even going to help? All of those things, in my opinion, we've asked a ton of people, and it's, you know, was the intent there? Did the head touch the head? I mean, all of those different things. It's hard to watch when you're also trying to watch for the game. You know what I mean? Because every position of the referee is for a reason, whether it's the side judge, the back judge. They're all looking for very particular, you know, they're diagnosing the game from that angle of what they're watching. And then you bring in on top of that other things to look for and watch. And I think you're seeing it. So we have to decide who's responsible for what call, why they're responsible for it. Should that be in New York? I just think there's not enough direction in it, and you're seeing it. And now they're missing the blatant ones. I mean, we've seen some guys have false starts, be way off, and it's a touchdown, and everybody can clearly see the tackle has moved. You know, and to your point, you get down into the minutia of the game where was his head, where was it, how did it happen? Man, I'm telling you, it's a tough job as it is. But it's been poor, and that's the problem. Is we've forced them into making these calls that we're putting them behind the eight ball and asking them to be guys who can see everything. And I just think it's too much. We have to decide what's important to us in our game. How can we fix it? Whether it's what part's going to be in New York, what part's on the field, but be very, very clear in what each guy is looking for.
Jeff, always great to talk to you. We'll do it again really soon. Thanks for joining us as always on The Morning After.
Appreciate it, fellas. Y'all have a great one.